We've got a special guest star today. She's right here. Anyway, she's sitting here purring. I know you can't hear her. There are some very specific tactics that cults use in order to recruit people and also in order to better exploit them, because a lot of these things that cults use are actually things that people very deeply want, and they're really tapping into those desires with the cult and cult behavior they do. So I thought I would just name a lot of those that I came up with just for funsies, that are very common in a bunch of cults. I'm going to be using all kinds of examples, you guys. The trans cult, obviously. Scientology, Mormonism, maybe Jehovah's Witness, probably Hasidic Judaism, etc., etc. Okay? Anyway, so the first one is there's this extremely unending focus on the world, and everything they do, or their ultimate goal, is to fix or improve the world, and they always say that their way is the only way that it could ever happen. Their way is the only, like everyone else, the whole world. They say they have to fix the world by having the whole world join their cult, right? I mean, good luck with that, but that's their thinking. And I get it, though, at the same time, because we want to fix the world. We see that there are problems in the world. They're, hard to address problems, hard to deal with problems, astronomical problems that no one group is ever going to just settle, right? So, that's just always their focus. And if you leave, you're contributing to the world's demise. Like, you're immediately a part of the problem if you're leaving the cult, right? You immediately become an out member if you're no longer in the cult. But anyway, okay. So the second one is that they require specific rituals and activities and behaviors that you have to be in the in crowd to perform. You have to have worked your way up into the cult in order to be in the in crowd, right? A good example of this is Mormonism, where you have to get a temple recommend, you have to do temple endowments, you have to do all these tasks, and then you're sealed. I don't remember exactly, but you have to have a specific ceremony in order to be an official member, etc., etc. And that's true of Scientology as well. Like, you have to get through all these levels in order to become a functioning Thetan. Anyway, rituals are often initiation into the group, and you can't sit with us unless you're initiated. They're very elitist. Like, they're very exclusive about who can and cannot be in the cult, and about who's in, who's out. A kind of weird way that the trans cult does this, that's actually borderline a little bit clever, dare I say, is you're either pro-trans or you're a hateful anti-trans, like murderous bigot, right? They're also normal, right? The trans cult is normal people, quote unquote. So the way that they go about this is you either just have to believe in their doctrine, you have to believe in their, stupid rhetoric, which is just repeated mantras, and you don't have to be trans, right, to be a cult member. They are so close to mainstream society that they're kind of I don't want to say initiation. What am I trying to say here? Their appearance was pretty seamless because they just modified really simple things about the society we currently live in, and they're sort of like mainstream society adjacent, right? But they've fucking ruined mainstream society in a lot of ways. But anyway, Anyway, there's still very much the like you can't sit with us vibe within the trans cult, and if you don't believe in transgenderism, like you're all these bad things. Anyway, the third one is sacred garb. This might be my favorite one. They often require specific garb that sets them apart from mainstream society to better differentiate themselves from mainstream society, enforcing the us versus them mentality. I want to bring up, I'm going to bring up the Sea Org, but I wrote down a different example first. Okay. Obviously, not everyone loves to hate on Mormons so much that they follow the church news and everything like I do, but these idiots recently made it okay for women to show their shoulders. Like, that was absolutely not okay, absolutely not happening for many, many, many years. I've heard multiple people say, like, multiple former Mormons say that if they saw a woman wearing a tank top, they would be like, oh, she's going to hell. Like, their immediate thought upon a woman having her bare shoulders showing was like, oh, she's bound to hell because she's showing her shoulders. They also used to say, I mean, they probably still say, some of them do, or some of them remember this phrase being thrown around, which is porn shoulders, which is these dumb shit prophets of the church and the kind of general sentiments floating about were like, women showing their shoulders is just way too risque. So they would call them porn shoulders because they would say that, like, oh, if a woman shows her shoulders, that is just like, that is so risque, it's practically pornographic. You guys, I've seen some fugly ass outfits here in Vegas, let me tell you, and I am shocked that anyone would be dumb enough at any point to ever say that a woman simply wearing a tank top is pornographic, but here we are. What's so interesting about that is they actually very recently changed the rules. They changed the garments, so now you can wear thicker strap. You can't yet wear spaghetti straps. You can wear thicker strap shirts that do show your shoulders. Okay, so how incredibly fucking stupid and disgusting that the church says for years and years and years and years it's immodest for women to wear shoulder showing clothing because it doesn't work with their garments. But just kidding, now it's fine and we make tank top garments. LOL. Like, how incredibly fucking stupid. But anyway, the other example I wanted to use is the Sea Org, which is in Clearwater, Florida. You guys can look up footage of this online on YouTube, wherever the fuck you want, and you'll find it. These dumb shits they literally wear, like, when was L. Ron Hubbard in the Navy? Hold on. Alexa, what year was L. Ron Hubbard born?
L. Ron Hubbard was born on March 13th, 1911. By the way...
Okay, Alexa, stop. Okay, so likely in like the 30s or 40s so the Sea Org, okay, in Clearwater, Florida, which is seen as like a really like serious, diligent group of Scientology members. They wear these 1930s inspired naval looking outfits. I am not kidding you, I'm serious. This is a real thing. They wear these like 1930s, maybe 1940s inspired naval outfits because L. Ron Hubbard really liked the Navy and he wanted to be in the Navy, or he wanted to be an accomplished like sea captain or whatever. So they wear these outfits, these uniforms, right? They are uniforms, but they wear them because that's their sacred garb. And a lot of people who aren't in the Sea Org, I'm sure that the Sea Org is, really, really held up and put on a really great light. And they're like, wow, if you get far enough in the Scientology bullshit, they don't say that. If you get far enough in your rank, maybe you can be a part of the Sea Org too and wear a fucking naval outfit like it's Halloween, but Halloween's every day for those people. Anyway, okay, so the fourth one is, also, I didn't write this down, but having physical garments, or even just having guidelines for your clothing, like Mormons, like Jehovah's Witnesses, that does set you apart, and it makes you feel solidarity. It makes you feel conformity to a comforting degree with your group of people, with your cult, whilst setting you us apart from the rest of society because you have your sacred garb rules, right? Anyway, okay, so the fourth one is there is physical performance in the form of forced labor or exploitation of members. They make it revered positions in their cult, like Mormon missionaries, who also wear a sacred garb when doing so. I read this book by Jenna Miscavige Hill. It's all about her having been grown up in Scientology. And she and a bunch of other kids were, when they were actual children, okay, when they were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I'm serious about this, they built and renovated and maintained a ranch. Children did this, okay? So they exploited these children. It's also super dangerous to have children using any kind of equipment that's, built for adults. But I digress. So they had all these children make this ranch, right? I think it still exists currently. Because, well, they didn't want to pay anyone else. And same with Mormons. Mormons have, they themselves clean their temple. Why the fuck do they call it a temple anyway? It's so stupid. But anyway, they have their own members clean their temple. Something interesting I learned more recently is that Jehovah's Witnesses often either do create or did build their own stupid kingdom halls. And the reason they don't have windows is because it's way faster to build a building without windows. But also, when you have a group of people doing physical labor together and accomplishing something like renovating and or building a ranch and renovating a kingdom hall, like that's a task that is accomplished, right, within your group. And you feel a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride from doing that. And who wouldn't want to experience that right now within a cult? But I digress. Okay, so number 5 might be my favorite, just because it's probably the wackiest one. And it's very, very subtle as well. This is not quite as, I would say it's not quite as pronounced as all the other ones I've been telling you. There's an inherent masochistic vibe about here. There's an inherent constant pain on some level of suffering equals happiness for the greater good. Pain is a huge part of the human existence, and it's inescapable. Every single person on the planet, even the most privileged, spoiled children, feel pain at some point. And cults cleverly incorporate this inevitable part of life into their sacred doctrine, rituals, garb, mission. Being in pain and suffering outweighs when you're not, which is why so many people end up leaving. So many people are just in constant pain in these cults, but they're taught like, well, that's part of it. That's part of it. Look at so-and-so. Look what he had to endure. It's usually men. Look at so-and-so. Look what he had to endure, and look what he accomplished after having endured that, Something really sad. I hope I don't cry right now, because I actually don't like crying on camera, believe it or not. But I watched a video about a woman who was in the FLDS, the Fundamental Latter-day Saints, which is the openly polygamist group of Mormons in the United States, where she said at one point she truly believed that she would go to hell because she was doing things wrong within the cult, and she was, in hot water for whatever it was she did wrong, probably something stupid, like asking questions. But she said she prayed to God to die, believing she would go to hell because she was sure that hell must be better than the life she was living. That is so sad. That is horrible. And that's the kind of thing that these cults come up with. Same with the trans cult, honestly. Like, when people are clearly regretting having transitioned, having had these surgeries, they always say, like Jamie Dollinger, I'm pretty sure she has said this on multiple occasions, how like, oh, you know, the surgery was so bad, it was so hard, the recovery was so difficult, but now she has a fake arm skin, thigh skin penis and her breasts removed, and now she's really truly living the life she wants, so it was all worth it. Like, that kind of bullshit. Anyway, number 6 is prohibiting normalcy. Many normal activities, habits, holidays are strictly prohibited so that the cult is holier than thou. All cults abuse children. So not allowing kids to do normal activities further distances them from mainstream society. And you know what, you guys, I wrote these notes yesterday, but today I was lucky enough to actually drive by some Johos who are disgustingly like hanging out by a school, which is really fucked up. But I made sure to blast my Christmas music extra loud while I was driving by them with my windows down, because I just want to remind them of how much fun they're not having by not celebrating Christmas because they're so special and holier than thou with their stupid, you know, pain club. They're stupid. They want to call it a religion, but it's a fucking cult, and it's horrible. But yeah, so when you can't do something really basic like celebrate Christmas, celebrate your birthday, wear pants, wear certain colors, wear colorful prints of fabric, like that is so specific. It's so oddly specific, but it's so common, right? I'm sure many of the gals watching this have floral shirts or bright colored shirts. I'm sure many of the guys watching this, you know, maybe they have a brightly colored shirt or hat or something they enjoy wearing, or, you know, a haircut they like. But it's like preventing normalcy just makes you more othered. It makes you more set apart. And it seems minuscule, right? It seems what's the word I'm looking for? Not minuscule. It seems kind of pointless to do something as stupid as ban patterned leggings, which Mormons have done. But it's the control. The cult wants control, and the cult has control, and the cult will maintain control if you let it. Anyway, okay, so number 7 is this ongoing attitude, this ongoing mantra even that's said within the cult, that outsiders are bad, outsiders are wrong, outsiders aren't saving the world. If you leave the cult and therefore become an outsider, right, then you're suddenly the problem. You're immediately the problem. You're the reason the religion, the cult, is in decline. You're now a heathen, right? You're now an SP, suppressive person. That's what Scientologists dumb shits call them. And oh yeah, same with Jehovah's. I forget. I don't know what. I feel like Jehovah's Witnesses have a word for people who leave their cult, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But yeah, you're the problem, right? If you leave, you're immediately the problem. If you leave, you're wrong. You're bad, right? How is that loving? These dumb shits are like, oh, we're Mormon, we're Jehovah's Witnesses, we're so loving, we love each other so much, but wow, if you leave, don't ever talk to me again. The fuck? Like, I don't know how that's Christ-like, but here we are. Okay, so number 8 is we all feel a void. Okay? Every single person on the planet, I would argue, even people who are in healthy religions that are not cults, feel some kind of void. They feel something is missing in their life or lives. There's some kind of habit that is not happening. So we all feel a void as a species. Cults take advantage of this and say they know what it is. And if you join and rank high enough, you'll know too. And being a Scientologist is a pretty good example of this, because once you become a functioning Thetan, they like give you access to some stupid like sacred doctrine, which actually really means nothing. But you had to, jump through all these hoops to get there. So I guess you sort of feel a sense of accomplishment by having done so. But anyway, these are all really interesting things, because these are all almost kind of rules that we also make for ourselves. Like, I don't wear certain things, right? Because it's not what I like to wear. So I do have guidelines for my own wardrobe, right? I really do. But it's not at a cult level. People want to be told what to do. They want to be told how to live. They want to be in a group of people who are doing the same thing. And when they're not in a group of people doing similar things, doing the same exact things together, they just feel empty inside. They feel lost. And I think everyone feels lost at some point, right? And that's what these cults really tap into. They tap into these totally normal human emotions, and they exploit them, and they mess with you about them, and they make them strict rules, right? And I think people to some degree kind of want that. Okay, I must be missing some of my notes, because I don't have this one. Where did it go? No, it might be, I might have said it already. Well, okay, yes. Oh my gosh, you guys, we have 2 more. We have another one. Okay, this is what I was saying. Okay, there's a feeling of solidarity. Cults create this, often with big group activities, when you work together. Okay, I kind of already said this. We want to have feelings of solidarity within groups. Cults are often peddled as the only way to achieve that. Feeling solidarity with a large number of people perpetuates the illusion that cult equals good and worth it. Where else would you get solidarity in mainstream society? It doesn't exist. And I'm serious about that. I'm really serious about that. Like, we have very little solidarity in American society, and I really mean that. Like, we barely have collective events. We barely have collective practices. We barely have we don't really have a tight-knit society, just because we're so huge and spread out. And I've already told you guys that different states have different cultures, and that's a fact. Just because they're in different areas, they're in different terrains and different climates, right? So there are in fact different cultures within our culture, right? And here's the thing, though, is that yes, there are things that do create a feeling of solidarity. Like, I wish I had a better example, but like sporting events, right? If a bunch of people go to a hockey game, a basketball game, football, American football game, like, you do feel solidarity with that giant crowd, right? While you are there. When you leave, it's probably gone. But you feel that solidarity, or when you watch the sports, right? you feel that it's so simple, but it's not really sacred. And I think that people crave the sacred aspect of collective events. Honestly, I was around for September 11th, and I think that's why people fucking love talking about that shit so much, is that it was a collective event that we all experienced, that all Americans experienced. Everyone who was conscious at the time of September 11th can tell you exactly where they were. That's like a common thing for people to talk about when they talk about September 11th. They're like, oh, I was blah, blah, blah. Right? Because that was, in fact, a collective event that we all experienced. I mean, that's why I loved Harry Potter so much. That was a fucking world event, you guys. Like, fuck the pandemic, okay? Harry Potter was a world event, all right? Like, that was a thing that everyone, that was a huge reason I was so into it too, is because, like, I knew that when I was waiting for the book at midnight, everyone, a bunch of kids in every single other state were doing it, a bunch of kids in in other countries were doing it, you know? Like, that was cool. That was cool. That was fun. That was exciting. That was something that really hadn't happened before in my lifetime. And probably won't again, unfortunately. Boo-hoo. But you guys see what I'm saying? Is like, these cults create these groups, and within these groups, they create these events that cause people to feel really connected with their group. And people want that. I mean, I think that all of these things, I really do. I think that all of these things, so let's go through them again. Okay, fixing the world, specific rituals, sacred garb, physical performance, physical rituals, not exploitation, or not the exploitative or forced labor parts of it. Those things, okay? Fixing the world, specific rituals, sacred garb, physical performance. Those are things that people kind of want to have, right? Those are things that people are interested in, and they would probably sign up for if they could. You know, those four things really do actually increase feelings of togetherness and improve national morale. I mean, that's honestly why that's why there's still a monarchy. That's why we still have a monarchy, okay? Because them English love, they have all these freaking, I'm not even gonna get into it, but like, there's all this lore and all these experiences shared by everyone in those countries and other countries, but specifically in those countries, having to do with the royal family, right? We don't have that in the US. We don't have that in other parts of the world. But this like teeny tiny thing, you know, like for example, like Charles getting crowned king or the Queen dying, like that was an event that everyone in England, in Scotland, in Ireland experienced, right? But we tend to not want forced labor. We tend to not want constant pain. We tend to not want to prohibit normalcy. We tend to not want to ostracize. I mean, you know what? Maybe we do want to ostracize people. Maybe we do want to ostracize groups of people. Maybe we do want to be the good people versus the bad people, right? And we do want feelings of solidarity, right? So there are a lot of aspects of these cults that are inherent human desires. And these cults exploit those desires in ways that are harmful. Bye.